Hey guys, welcome to the newest episode of the SaaS Sessions podcast. This is me, Sunil. I'm going to be your host for this episode. I have Ketan Pandit with me on the show today. Ketan is the Director of Global Partner Marketing at CleverTap. CleverTap, if you have not heard of them, is a leading customer engagement and retention platform that helps brand maximize their user lifetime value. So they have over 8,000 apps using them, including apps like Vodafone, Hotstar, Sony, Discovery, Gojek, to name a few. So, hey Ketan, such a pleasure to have you on the show. Let's kick off with your introduction and let's hear about CleverTap more from you.
Hi, Sunil. Thank you for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to be here.
Mm.
So I take care of global partner marketing for CleverTap, and that involves engaging with our partner community to help them understand the platform, help them be enabled on the platform, and take the platform to different geographies, basically. So I joined CleverTap about 2 years ago when I was, at that time, my role was around demand generation. I was part of the marketing team at CleverTap. I was there for about 18 months, and during which my charter largely included building the demand generation function for CleverTap. Partnerships and alliances is fairly new for me, and I've been here since January of 2020.
Right. So and how did you jump into partnerships, Ketan? Like, after doing demand gen with multiple companies before CleverTap and then heading demand gen at CleverTap when you initially joined 2 years back. And so did partnerships was a planned move or it just kind of happened?
It was actually a bit of both. So we at CleverTap we were doing a bit of partner marketing, but as a
Mhm.
company grows, you need different channels that can help you scale. So earlier, sometime around mid 2019, we realized that partnership needed to be a separate function, which would help the organization scale up faster. And that's when a proper alliances team was constituted. This was fairly a new team, and while I was at marketing, I was interfacing with them a lot, and I got to understand, their function, how they can play an important role in the growth of this organization. At the marketing team, I had done quite a bit fairly, and I felt that it was time to learn something new, and that's how this whole move happened. I was supported massively by all people inside CleverTap to make this transition, and it's important to have your seniors' faith in you if you want to make such a move, and I was blessed with that. So that is how this alliances move came to be, and now I'm here.
Awesome. And so how big is the partnerships team at CleverTap now?
So right now we're not a very big team. We are a component of the entire channel management function, which is
Mhm.
about 40 odd people in entirety, out of which channel sales, that is the partnership and alliances team, is a small component, about 3 people.
Got it, got it. So does partnership function have like different roles in different stages of the company, right? So correct, you were involved in doing some partner marketing activities when you were doing demand gen at CleverTap, and then you jumped into like, taking care of partnerships completely. So in your experience, like how it differs from partnerships function at a startup versus
Hmm.
partnership function at a product market fit company or a Series A company, and then let's say partnerships at CleverTap and moving on from there.
Right. Oh, very, very interesting question, Sunil. And partnership obviously has different roles to play at different stages of this of a company's growth, right? So when
Mm-hmm.
you're just a new kid on the block, when you're still figuring out your product market fit, you need a bunch of partners who support your business, right? So these are partners like the cloud infrastructure or your integration. These are technology partnerships largely which help you run your business properly, right? These have to be very reliable partners in their tech, in their reach, in their ability to for you to become successful, right? So that's the role a key partnership plays at the initial stages. When an organization grows, when they have their cash flow is positive, their revenues are trickling in, they have found a product market fit. You need a different set of partners who can help you expand your reach, right? So typically we call them as solution partners. These are partners who will go out to the market, be an extension of your team. They will help you take your product to different geographies where you might not have a presence. At the same time, these can be strategic partners who will help you get into accounts that you are not able to service directly, right? So these partners become an extension of your being. They're an extension of your team. and they help you take the word outside. So partnerships evolve as an organization also evolves, and it's important to enable these partners at every stage, right? So you want them to have the same or similar skills. You want them to have the same access to the same partner enablement tools that your own sales team has. Eventually, these are the guys who are going to be selling your platform, right? So that is how partnerships and these relationships evolve over a period of time.
Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. So you started into partnerships or this function in the beginning of this year, right? And I'm assuming you had a lot of great plans. And so what was like your plan for 2020 in the beginning of this year with respect to partner marketing?
All right. So 2020 beginning, we were full of hope, and the entire partnership ecosystem was geared up to make CleverTap, take the leap. Unfortunately, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of those plans had to be put on hold, not cancelled, but just on hold. So we were planning to do a lot of GTM activities with our partners. These go-to-marketing activities include joint webinars, joint events, joint case studies, a bunch of these things that can help us demonstrate the value of a particular partnership to the ecosystem, right? And our prospect base and whatnot. However, a lot of these things had to be put on hold because events got cancelled. So that was one big hit. Everybody started doing webinars, so we had to be very careful of these virtual events that we do or attend. We don't want to overburden the audience also. So we kind of took a pause there. Our partners supported in that. We're being very selective about the kind of events or these virtual webinars that we're doing. We're doing with partners, but we're trying to bring multiple partners on the same property so that not everybody gets stretched for time, or there's not an information overload. So we are hopeful that by the end of Q3, some things will start moving, the market will start opening, and that's when we will relook at this entire plan that we had built in at the beginning of 2020. And this is where having a partner, a reliable partner makes all the difference, right? If we did not have a partner ecosystem, imagine everybody stuck at home, not being able to go out to the field to do what they do. But by virtue of having a reliable partner in specific geographies, we are getting a direct sense of the pulse of that market, right? Some markets are opening up before the others. So our partners have that ground intelligence, and they've already started with the business as usual activities. They're giving us ground level intelligence in terms of what's opening, what's not opening, how are businesses looking at their spends, how are they looking at in terms of prioritization, what is the kind of messaging that works post this calamity in the market. So things have changed quite a lot. I wouldn't say that they haven't, and our partners are really helping us navigate through these difficult times.
Got it. And then how did you change the strategy, right? Like having a strategy at the beginning of this year versus in Q2, and now we are just entering Q3 and the remaining half of the year. So what has changed, right? So how did you pivot, and why did you did the particular change in the strategy, and what did you change?
So I wouldn't go so far as to say that we've pivoted. There's nothing much has changed, right? We're the same group of people. We're spending a lot more time on product enhancements right now because we have some time on our hands. We're engaging in conversation with our customers, but that is not always with the intention of selling. We're trying to get a sense of how they are, how's the business doing, do they need any support from CleverTap at all,
Right.
So we're trying to help them navigate these difficult waters. And the goal is not to make a drastic change in the business. That's not going to happen. So not much of a change. We're looking at every quarter as it comes. We're very hopeful for the quarters that are coming. Constantly being engaged with the customer also gives them the comfort of knowing that we are there if they need CleverTap. We've got their back. We are going to be with them through every step, and we will solve these problems that are there in front of all of us, right?
Right.
That goes to say that business is not stopping. We're still getting good deals. We're still getting new accounts on board. The pace has changed, but that's about it.
That's interesting. And like what are in some ways, right, that you guys are implementing this particular strategy at CleverTap, or as you said, right, it's more about relationship building with the partners and partner customers, right? So I was reading an article which says should your Q3 be demand focused or should your Q3 be brand focused, right? Because
Hmm.
when we started this year in Q1, like it's still normal, but in Q2 there was like a whole paradigm shift that happened. And then now we are getting out of that, and like it's kind of getting back to normal, at least like in like different parts of the world. It's the situation is different, but as CleverTap, right? So are you like are you mainly focusing on like building, still building the demand, or are you like keeping the focus on the brand as well, like where you're building relationships, maybe not trying to sell now, but having that good relationship with them now, and then you can maybe sell or like further down the line in the future.
So hey, it's not so straightforward, right? It's not one or the other. You've got to be
Right.
doing both at the same time. But
Mm-hmm.
what we are cognizant of the is the fact that this is not the best time to push anybody to sign a deal or push your brand
Right.
in somebody's face.
Mm-hmm.
So we're taking it easy. We're taking a step down. The marketing team, the brand teams have taken a conscious decision to be more empathetic in their communication at this stage. So that also involves not going overboard with any kind of branding communication or marketing communications. So like I said in the beginning, it's not either or, both have to be done. It's a
Right.
balance whose intensity kind of changes depending on the situation.
Completely. And what are some of the activities that you are doing to enable these two things, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
driving demand and driving brand, right?
Yep.
As
Right.
you said, you are like careful in doing like a lot of webinars and virtual events and all these different activities, right? But what are some of the activities that you have planned for the remaining of the year to drive both demand and brand through partners and this whole channel?
Right. So, one thing that we are very cognizant of is that demand and brand are a result of communication that we have with our ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
So when this whole COVID-19 situation struck us, and when once everybody began to understand the intensity of the problem that was facing us, we started a series of talks, virtual talks with our customers, partners, people in the ecosystem about how different businesses can actually navigate through these times. Nobody has dealt with a situation like this before, right? In recent history, so it's new for everybody. But by bringing collective wisdom together, we can help each other out. So we started with a series of 8-10 conversations around different industries like retail, fintech, travel tech, similar. And we just had a conversation with the expert in these fields about what they're seeing, how things are different. And you can actually go and access this series under New Rules of Marketing on the CleverTap website. So that's something that we started. The other initiative that we have was around sharing best practices or learning across the user life cycle, right? So we have this series ongoing right now, which is reimagining growth, right? Because traditional channels of growth are not being very effective right now. So what we're doing is we're talking to experts who manage user acquisition or who specialize in engagement or re-engagement and things like that. And we're trying to glean pearls of wisdom from these people to understand and share with the community at large. So at the core of anything CleverTap does is there's a strong sense of giving back to the community, right? So even if you look at our website or our blog, you will see a lot of content that is educational in nature. None of our content is salesy, right? So that's very intentional. The whole idea is that if everybody learns together, everybody figures out solutions to the problem in their own way, we just enable it. So these are something that we're doing. We've initiated conversations around how different brands or a particular brand could navigate these issues and things like that. So one of just drop in the ocean, but in whatever way we can help, we're trying to do that.
That's really interesting, and that's a really great way to build that relationship now, right? Like people are they have a lot of time and they're researching about like companies or apps or platforms that they want to use to help their business grow. So they're like out there reading content, and they don't want to be like pitched to, right? They just want
Hmm.
to be educated, and that's a really great way to start. So in your experience, Ketan, right? So you pretty much started this whole partnership function at CleverTap, if I may say so. And like in your experience, how can a company, right, who wants to evolve, right, and have more channels for demand gen and brand gen, So partnerships
Mm-hmm.
as a function is definitely one great channel to have. So how can a
Uh-huh.
startup get started with with this whole partnerships function, right? What are like some of the pillars that you need, or what are some of the basic things that you need to
Mm.
have to get this channel kick started at a company?
Right, right. So just a small correction there, Sunil. I did
Mm.
not start the partnership function. It was already there. So the
Right.
founders of CleverTap, right, Anand, Sunil, and Suresh, they had the foresight and they understood the value of critical partnership. So
Mm-hmm.
that foundation rock was already placed at the beginning of the organization.
Right.
What my team and I did was kind of take that setup and amplify it many folds to help the organization scale. Right, that's what we're
Mm-hmm.
trying to do. Having said that, it is very important to have a partner who thinks like you. At the same time, is also been given the freedom to bring in new ideas, which can help with the growth, right? So,
Right.
one is that. The other important thing is a cultural fit, right? How well can this partner integrate with your ethos or the way you sell? Will they be able to sell or position the product in the same way that you do, right? That's the other important part. And third is that it's transparency and trust is the most important part in these partnerships, right? If at any time you feel that it's becoming very difficult to be transparent, or you're not getting back the answers very transparently, it's best to put a pause to that relationship. So
Right.
with these three tenets, I think any organization of any size can scale up. And I'm purposely not mentioning things like processes and all of this because that's hygiene.
Uh-huh.
But you need a culture fit. You need you need somebody who can think like your organization, but maintain their own identity, and you need a strong culture fit.
Totally. And I think that's a great point to start and a great way to start as well. Yeah, so I think with that we have reached the course for this episode, Ketan, and I have
Hmm.
now like a couple of lightning questions for you. So are you up?
Sure, sure.
Yeah. So yeah, the first one, what do you know about your work now that you wish you would have known when you first started?
Relationships, everything. Invest in them, nurture them, and be on top of your relationships.
Totally, even if it's with networks in the ecosystem, or it's your partners or it's your customers, I think that stays true
Ab-
for all different aspects. Yep. So
Absolutely.
second one. So what did your biggest professional failure teach you?
Be humble,
Mm-hmm.
and God is in the details.
Got it. And my last two then. So what's the number one thing that has helped you shorten your learning curve?
I have learned to be empathetic. So I have
Mm-hmm.
learned to cultivate relationships with people. That's come a little late, but yeah, that's what I've been doing, and I think I can do a pretty good job of that.
Got it. And like, what's the current favorite book that you're reading and you want to share with the listeners?
So I'm reading a couple of books at the same time. That's a habit that I do that I have. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
reading one book called Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. It's
Uh-huh.
about negotiation tactics. Basically, it
Right.
talks about how empathy and subtle signs that help you negotiate better. And I think everybody should learn the art of negotiation because we are negotiating every day about different aspects of, of our life, whether it's with your spouse, whether it's at work, whether it's with a partner. So that's one very good book that I'm reading.
Totally.
The other book
Yeah.
that I'm reading is about Western classical musical maestro Zubin Mehta, who's a
Mm-hmm.
conductor, right? So it's about his journey from when he was a little boy to now that he's 80 plus, and the life that he's led, the lessons that he's learned,
Mm-hmm.
the session music that he's conducted, the orchestra that he's conducted. It's a very fascinating book and a very very nice read for anybody who's interested in the arts. And the third is a childhood favorite called The Treasure Island.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just revisiting that.
That's very interesting, Ketan. Yeah. So yeah, this has been a great insight on the partnerships function from you, Ketan, and especially partnerships function at CleverTap, right? Because I think it's one of the fastest growing companies in India. So kudos
Right.
to you and CleverTap, like doing all these activities and educating your customers and all the other companies and people in the ecosystem in India and outside India with all the great content, right? So thanks a lot
Yes.
for sharing those
Thank you.
insights and having educating us on the partnership function at CleverTap.
Sure. Welcome, Sunil. And if your listeners would like to understand more about this program, they can reach out to me via Twitter. I'm pretty active there.
Definitely, yeah.
And my handle is at KTENS, Ketens.
Uh-huh.
Feel free to reach out to me and I'll help in whatever way I can. Thank you for taking out the time and speaking with me, Sunil.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Ketan, to you. And I'm going to definitely include the links to your LinkedIn and Twitter and CleverTap in the description so that people can go and check out and connect with you. Thanks a lot, and we'll keep in touch.
Sure. Thanks, Sunil.